Alright, Brush Monkeys, we are back, and this week and next we are taking a look at these two little figures. These are Batman and Joker. They're not really gaming pieces, they're kind of pre-paint figures from the dollar store that my awesome wife picked up for me. And she knows I like miniatures, she knows I like Batman and the Joker. And these are just cute little, like I said, dollar store figures that come pre-painted. I think I could do better. So we're going to start out, first of all, we're going to start out opening these guys, taking a look at them. I've got some ideas of how I want to do these guys, and I think they're going to be pretty spiff when they're done. This week we're going to be focusing on Batman. Next week we're going to paint the Joker. And I decided they had to be repainted because, first of all, Batman's cape is kind of gray instead of black, and the rest of them is all black. It's almost like that Michael Keaton Batman movie, black. So we're gonna fix that. We're gonna make it all look a little bit better. And then this one, of course, his jacket and his vest and his pants are all the same color. And his tails are supposed to be coming off the jacket, but they're a different color, which is weird. It just looks off. So we're gonna repaint him, and we're gonna make them both look spiffy as all get out. This week we're gonna be working on Batman. Next week we're gonna do the Joker. But I'm going to start out priming these guys. I'm gonna zenithal prime both of them with the rattle cans. There's not a whole lot of detail on these guys, so I'm not particularly worried about losing detail. Just painting over what's already there. I'm not going to bother trying to strip them first and all this kind of thing. I don't think his cape comes off. No, it doesn't look like it. Might. No, I'm not going to mess with that. So I'm just going to rattle can prime them both, and then we'll get started on Batman. So I'm going to pause here and go do that, and then we'll come back and see how they look. All right? See you soon. Alright, we're back, and as you can see, I've got Batman and Joker primed, zenithal primed, and they're looking pretty good. One thing I did notice, remember way back when I said I wasn't going to lose any detail priming these guys? Well, it turns out I wasn't entirely correct. I thought the bat on Batman's chest was sculpted on. It turns out only the oval was sculpted on. The bat itself was not. It was just painted. And so when I primed them, I lost the bat. So I changed up my game plan a little bit. My original plan was to paint the oval in yellow, and then paint the bat on there, paint the bat and paint the outline of it, and I decided that wasn't going to work. So first of all, next week we're getting into the Joker, so I'm going to go ahead and put the Joker aside for next week. We'll focus on Batman. So what I did was I changed up my game plan a little bit. I thought one of the great things about Batman is he's such a long-running character, and there's been so many iterations of his costume that it gives me a lot of flexibility in how to paint this guy. So my plan was to paint the bodysuit in Corvus Black, highlight in Eshin Gray, if I could stop nudging my camera here, highlight it in Eshin Gray so you get that nice dark gray color to it. And then the way comic books paint color black is usually they color it blue so you can see all the highlights and shadows and contours and whatnot of it. And so I thought Nightmare Black would be perfect for that. So his cowl, his cape, his gloves, his boots, his little jockstrap thingy are all going to be Nightmare Black. And I think that's going to be a nice dark color scheme. It's not quite as dark as the whole black Tim Burton Batman or the Dark Knight Batman suits that were just black. I think the dark gray is going to look really nice on that, and still be kind of an homage to the old comic books while retaining some of the darkness of the newer versions of Batman. along those same lines, I kind of wanted to, and this is where the scraping the thing off the chest helped, is I wanted to give a bit of an homage to Frank Miller's version of Batman, and his utility belt is not bright yellow in the Frank Miller versions. It's intended to just be leather pouches, and so they kind of come across as just brown leather in a lot of pictures of them. So I got the wildwood and the snakebite leather for his utility belt, but I thought, as long as I've already kind of screwed up the chest icon in taking the bat off there, why not go ahead and continue that homage to Frank Miller and just scrape off the oval altogether and reprime it, so you can see he's got no oval anymore, and you can kind of see where I've resculpted the chest a little bit. But I sanded all that down and reprimed it, and now I'm going to do the utility belt like a leather belt with the snakebite leather and wraithbone contrast paints, but then the chest is going to get that nice big beefy Frank Miller's Dark Knight Batman logo on there, with none of the yellow oval. It's just going to have that big black bat on the gray bodysuit. I think that's really going to look fantastic. So yeah, that's how that's going. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and get started painting some of this guy. All right, see you soon. Bye. All right, I'm back, and as you can see, I've got Batman all base coated. That Nightmare Black really looks a lot more blue on the camera than he does in person. It's actually really, really dark blue. And the Corvus Black is a really nice dark gray. Like I said, I'm going to layer that with Eshin Gray. Pick out all these muscles and everything. All these little details. Even got the Wraithbone down on his belt. And a little bit of skin tone on his face. Basically, for the skin tone, I'm just using Citadel's Cadian Flesh Tone. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of a wash with Reikland Flesh Shade just to pick out that mouth a little bit. You can hardly see on camera there. And then I'm going to highlight it with just a little bit of Kislev Flesh, just to give his face a little more definition. I might do a little bit of black in the sockets of the eyes, because while they're pretty dark, they kind of disappear into the mask a little bit. But yeah, he's coming along pretty well. I'm going to let the base coats finish drying. Even got a base coat on the base, which I just put on there. The base is just going to be Mechanicus Standard Gray. I'm going to give it a wash of Agrax Earthshade, and then a dry brush of Dawnstone just to pick out those little rocks and stuff like that on there. But other than that, yeah, it's just going to be that. I might do the base band in matte black, but we'll see. I also might, depending on how it turns out, how the Eshin Gray turns out, I might do another highlight just over his, like his shoulders, his upper chest here, maybe just the upper parts of his thighs, just where the light would be shining down on him from like that angle, in Mechanicus Standard Gray over the Eshin Gray, just to give that a little more detail and help the chest emblem when I go to freehand that on there to pop out a little bit more. But yeah, he's coming along pretty well. I'm pretty happy with him so far. I'm kind of limited by the number of details that the figure has, obviously, but you know, so far so good. So like I said, I'm going to take a break and let those base coats dry a little bit, and then we'll come back and start layering up the muscles and whatnot. All right, see you soon. Bye. All right, brush monkeys, we have made some major progress on our Batman here. As you can see, I got his utility belt all painted with the snakebite leather, which is still a little bit wet. I've got his face layered up, and there wasn't a whole lot of detail to the mouth, but I actually got the mouth more or less painted in there with a little bit of Agrax Earthshade. I layered the body armor with Eshin Gray, and then highlighted just the upper muscles, chest here, a little bit of the upper thighs, his biceps and whatnot, just the upper parts of him like that, with Mechanicus Standard Gray. So it's still very dark, but it's also gray, and it details all those muscles, makes them all pop out, which is good. I'm going to do the only thing left to do on this guy really is paint his base band, dry brush the base, which you can see I've shade washed it there. It's still wet. See, I got to dry brush the base, paint the base band, and of course paint the bat on his chest. The bat is going to need to be some fairly detailed freehand. Again, I'm going with Frank Miller's Dark Knight, so it's going to be most of the chest. I will probably highlight it with a little bit of the, once I get it painted on there, I'll highlight it with a little bit of the Corvus Black, just to maintain that muscle definition on the chest there. But I'm going to mix Army Painter Flat Black, or Matte Black, excuse me, with a couple of drops of De La Rowney FW ink and a drop of Flow-Aid, or so, drop or two of Flow-Aid. And that's all just to get it to flow really nicely and make a nice thin crisp line that I can draw the bat on there with. I need to pause right now to let the shade wash and the contrast paint dry, and also to go get my research materials for the bat. I want to make sure I draw it right. So I'm going to go do that, and then I will come back, paint the bat. Again, I'm going to probably darken the eye sockets a little bit while I got the black out, and then this guy will be pretty well done. So we'll see you soon. Bye. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, our finished Batman figure. This is our repaint from the dollar store figure. He actually turned out really well, I think. I'm pretty happy with the bat on his chest in particular. Kind of looks every bit the combination of Frank Miller's Batman and both the early and late comics Batmans. I think I've incorporated enough references to other Batman media that I think this guy turned out really good. I'm really happy with him. So I'm going to go ahead and call him done, and we're going to wrap up the video here. Next week we're going to get into a really fun project. We're going to paint the Joker. We're going to paint the, we're going to take a dollar store repaint that kind of looks like the comic book Jokers and turn him into Heath Ledger's version. I'm going to paint him up as Heath Ledger's version. So join us next week, and I will see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey Brush Monkeys, Tom from Flying Monkey Studios here. If you like what you see, click like down below. If you want to be notified when new videos come out, click subscribe. And in the meantime, if you want to see how to add one of the miniatures that we've painted on this channel to your own collection, check out our Instagram, Tumblr, and Patreon sites. If you want to support us in doing what we do, check out my Patreon site, check out my merch store at storefrontier.com/flymonkeystudios. You can get t-shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, all kinds of stuff there. Go check that out. And in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.